Crypto Day video. So it's Friday afternoon, which means another weekly crypto roundup video. And before I jump into the stories and talk through the markets, I just want to quickly apologize for the fact that, as you can see over my right shoulder, you probably see my Burstcoin mining machine and a fair bit of kind of junk behind me. I've moved offices. I'm in the new office now. But as you can see, there's a window behind me that doesn't have a blind, so it's a bit bright, and that seems to be messing up the footage from the kind of webcam a bit. So apologies for that. By next week, hopefully I will have all this sorted. Anyway, before we jump into the stories this week, let's take a quick glance at the markets. As you can see, currently market cap's around 250 billion. Now that's down a bit since last week. We're down about 16 billion. I think we were 267 when I did last week's video. And since last week, as you can see here, we have had a bit of a drop off. So we had a little bit of an increase, and then we've had this kind of drop off, and we're now within this kind of like sideways moving sort of kind of funnel again. And this is what happened last week. So in last week's video I said, you know, we'll reach this thing where everything was tracking sideways, and normally when that happens, the market either breaks up or down. I said, you know, more recently it seemed to have been breaking down, and it did break down again for us this week, but nothing kind of crazy. When the market kind of drops a bit, everybody starts to kind of shout about that, you know, Bitcoin's going down to $2,500, etc., etc. And then we have a bit of a kind of spike up of like, you know, 10, 20 billion. And everybody says, oh, this is going to be the start of the next bull run, and we're going to be at, you know, 20,000 Bitcoin by the end of the month. Now, I don't think either of those are true. I think the markets are fluctuating within, you know, a relatively kind of small band now. We'll see, you know, spikes up, and I think we'll see spikes back down until something dramatic kind of happens. So I think we'll see people trying to kind of exploit the kind of short-term trading opportunities of Bitcoin fluctuating up and down by $500-600 a Bitcoin, something like that, in order to kind of accumulate. So they're selling, you know, market dips, they're buying back in a little bit each time, and I think it's going to take something quite large in order to really kind of like, you know, push us back to maybe testing the 10,000 mark and beyond. But, you know, on the other hand, I don't by any stretch think we're going to be heading down towards, you know, 2,000, 3,000 Bitcoin, anything like that. I don't think we'll go down even to kind of 5,000, anything like that. We might just touch under 6,000 again, but I think, you know, that 6,000-ish mark is pretty much a good kind of base where I don't see us going below that. But anyway, let's not dwell too much on the markets. Let's jump over to the first story, and we've got two stories about Ledger this week. This is the first one, and this was really good news. So I have the Ledger Nano S. I use that for some of my cryptos, and this last week they launched the Ledger Live. So it's a downloadable piece of software, so it replaces basically the Chrome apps that they were using before, and it's an order of magnitude better than those kind of Chrome apps. So you download the software, then you sort of sync it with your Ledger device, and you also set up a password for it. And then what you can do is you can actually log into the software and actually check your kind of figures, check all the accounts and stuff like that without actually using your device. And you only have to use your device when you're either adding new coins into it, or you want to send and receive coins and stuff like that. So it's a really good way of keeping in touch with it. It has this kind of portfolio kind of overview. It looks exactly the same as this. You put in basically each of the different accounts that you use on your ledger. So I have, for example, a Bitcoin, Ethereum, Digibyte, a few others I think as well. So you put all those accounts in, it keeps track of them. You can look at the individual accounts, see how many you've got of each. Then you have this kind of summary, a weekly, monthly and yearly summary that kind of tells you, you know, your entire kind of portfolio that's on that Ledger device, whether it's up or down. And it's really nice being able to kind of log in. If you have all your currencies on a Ledger device, it's great. So you can log in without using the Ledger device, just to sort of like see the overviews of it. And you only need to use the Ledger device, as I said, for sending money, adding, you know, new coins and stuff like that. So a really good bit of software. It's worked flawlessly for me. I haven't, you know, done too much on it at the moment, but it worked flawlessly. So it's a really nice kind of application. It's been a long time coming because I think the Chrome apps were pretty poor, to be honest. So yeah, really good news for that. So if you haven't checked that out, you can go to Ledger Wallet and Ledger Live it is, and you can download that. It's available for different platforms. I'm on a Mac OS here, but it's available for Windows and other stuff as well. And let's jump over to the next story, which is another Ledger one. And I don't know why this article they've put actually an image of just a USB drive at the top. I think this was supposed to be a Ledger Nano S, but obviously this is just a USB thumb drive, which is a bit stupid. But it was a really interesting story. So basically Ledger last year generated almost $30 million worth of profit from hardware wallets. They sold, I believe, 1 million hardware wallets, so making about $30 per wallet that they're kind of selling, which is, you know, really kind of nice. But as you can see here, so it says it sold over 1 million. Oh, that was actually just of the Ledger Nano S. So they also have the Ledger Blue and various others. But what was interesting was that they're going to be expanding their kind of business. So traditionally they've just done hardware wallets, but they're going to be expanding into cryptocurrency custodianship, which is something that kind of Coinbase are doing and stuff like that. So this is really interesting. They have a vault service at the moment, or that they've launched. So this Ledger Vault, which is almost like a sort of multi-user tiered access hardware wallet. So you can have a hardware wallet. You can give different people different kind of access kind of codes. They get various different permissions to do various things. So this was the first stage on it, but they're now doing a partnership with Nomura, which is a large Japanese bank, and they're going to be offering a fully fledged cryptocurrency custodian service. So this is great news for institutional kind of money, and, you know, maybe people who want to invest but don't have the interest or kind of capability or knowledge to kind of you know, store cryptocurrencies themselves. So really good news, I think, in terms of maybe the sort of the larger end of the kind of institutional kind of private investors, and also maybe institutional investors, and a little bit of competition for Coinbase going forward as well. So let's jump over to the next story. Another quite interesting thing here. So I've talked a reasonable amount about Robinhood. It's a US based investment app, and they launched in a few states many months ago now. I've talked about this sort of sporadically as they've launched in various other kind of states. I don't believe they're in all states. I think they're in something like 15 or 17 states at the moment. But they've added 2 new cryptocurrencies. So they are adding Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash to their platform. At the moment, or before that, you could only buy or only invest in Bitcoin and Ethereum. So very much along the sort of Coinbase line of having a limited number of kind of cryptocurrencies. But they've launched these 2 new ones now, so that's a really good. So Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash are now, I believe, live on the platform. You can purchase that. It's not available. Oh, actually here. So Robinhood Crypto is available in 10 states. That was at the time. Okay, so 17 states at the moment. Yeah. So they're hoping to be available in all US states by the end of the year. I believe they're doing something in Australia as well, and hopefully they will move over to, you know, Europe, UK, and Europe as well at some point. But new coins is always kind of good for people that kind of invest in. It's good to give them choice. So it's only 2 more coins, but, you know, slowly. So yeah, another good news story for Robinhood. They seem to have quite a lot of active kind of investors using their app. So, you know, good luck to them. Anyway, next story, and the ongoing saga of Tether continues. After the sort of audit that wasn't an audit, sort of fiasco of a few weeks ago, when they sort of like went to a law firm and said, oh, we've conducted this audit, and then everybody was like, this is not an auditing firm, it was just a law firm that went in and confirmed they had X amount of money in their bank accounts on a particular date. But this is quite interesting. So they have hired an ex-executive of the Bank of Montreal, who is going to head up their compliance team, their compliance division. So I think this is quite good news for Tether. They seem to be trying to kind of convince everybody that everything's kind of backed by anything, and it's you know, I'm a little bit kind of on the fence. I tend to think that they do have enough to kind of to cover most of the Tether that has been produced, you know, backed in kind of US dollars. So I think they probably do actually have the majority, if not all, of the amount of kind of US dollars to back Tether. But it's quite interesting that they are now getting, you know, some heavy hitters from the world of kind of banking and kind of finance to join the team. So he will be heading up their compliance efforts. So hopefully this will drive. It could be very good news. So, you know, if in, you know, a month of time they have, or a few months time they have a proper audit and it's shown that they do have all the reserves that they said they reserve, I think that could be really positive for the price of cryptocurrencies across the board, and certainly really good for sort of like trust within cryptocurrencies as well. But it'd be interesting to see what happens. It'd be interesting to see what kind of plans he has to kind of you know, to push their kind of transparency and you know, compliance efforts forward. But yeah, I think potentially kind of quite good news there. The next story, so this was quite interesting. I just noticed this morning, and it's the LSE, so London School of Economics, which is quite a a renowned academic institution. As you can see here from the article, it's the alma mater to 36 world leaders, 18 Nobel Prize laureates. It's a well-regarded institution here in the UK. And I think, as cryptocurrencies and particularly blockchain got more popular, you could see probably technically a lot of computer science degrees and stuff like that may be moving into kind of looking at kind of blockchain and stuff like that. But I think the interesting thing from the LSE is that it's the London School of Economics, so the way they're looking at it is slightly differently. So the new course that they launch, it's going to be an online course, is going to be called Cryptocurrency Investment and Disruption. And the nice thing about this, it's not purely technical. So they're looking at, you can see here, practical skills to interact with cryptocurrency exchanges, cryptocurrency wallets, evaluating ICOs and stuff like this. So this is very much from an investment and kind of finance standpoint rather than a technological standpoint. So I thought we would be seeing lots of sort of blockchain and kind of crypto related technology kind of courses, computer science courses, stuff like that. But I think the fact that we're now seeing these courses from more the sort of economic side, from the finance side, is also really interesting going forward. Now, it's not a full degree or anything like that. It's 6 modules. So here's 6 modules that add up to 60 hours of class time, and it will cost around 1,800 euros, about just over $2,000. So not a cheap course, but interesting to see that a really well established and a well regarded institution is getting involved in this kind of space and launching a course. So if anybody does actually go ahead and do that kind of course, let me know what you think of it. I think it'd be really interesting. But yeah, do let me know if you are planning to sign up to it. So next story here. Billionaire investor Stephen Cohen is betting on crypto. So this is quite an interesting one. So Stephen Cohen is a well-regarded hedge fund manager, and he is investing in Autonomous Partners, which is a hedge fund which focuses on cryptocurrency and also companies that are involved in blockchain technology. So it's not pure crypto kind of investments, it's also kind of companies that are involved in this kind of space. But yeah, really interesting kind of news, and it's I think quite positive for cryptocurrency in general when you get these well-regarded kind of figures getting involved. And I think more and more of them are looking at the kind of benefits, looking at the potential kind of returns and rewards from getting involved in kind of cryptocurrencies. So yeah, another one joins the list really. So yeah, interesting little story there, but we'll have to see how Autonomous Partners goes. So it was only founded last year, I think it was the end of last year, so it's quite new within the kind of industry, but it's yeah, certainly an interesting development. And then lastly this week, bit of an amusing story. I never thought I'd be quoting the Daily Mail on this channel, but it's been quoted in a lot of kind of press, but it's the $1 billion Bitcoin bet. So at a time when cryptocurrencies have been suffering in prices, Bitcoin prices up, down, as the mainstream media keeps telling us, about 70% on its all-time high. But there is an Australian man that is trying to basically formulate a bet. So he wants to gamble $8.5 million US, I believe that is, that a single Bitcoin will be worth more than a Berkshire Hathaway share, which is currently, I think at the time it was about $280,000. So if he can get the bet kind of taken and he wins, he will win $1.2 billion. So he approached this bookmaker. So apparently he's a famous bookmaker, Tom Waterhouse. I'd never heard of him, but he's then put this chap or person, we don't know who it is, in contact with a large syndicate to try and kind of get this bet taken. But yeah, quite interesting. Some people are incredibly bullish. We've had obviously the John McAfee sort of predictions and stuff like that, but this is somebody who's predicting that a single Bitcoin will be worth more than a share in Berkshire Hathaway by the end of 2023. So that's what, 5 years time, 4.5 years time, something like that. So the odds he's looking for is 141 to 1. So yeah, as I said, that $8.5 million US would win him about 1.2 billion Australian dollars, rather 1.2 billion Australian dollars. But yeah, quite a plucky gamble, $8.5 million, no small change by any stretch. Anyway, that's it for this week. thanks very much for watching. Let me know below anything that's kind of caught your eye this week, anything maybe that's coming up that you'd like me to cover in future weeks. But anyway, thanks very much for watching. Give me a thumbs up, that would be great, and have a great weekend. Take care. Bye bye.